It is apparently time for a brand new balance in Duel Links. We were kind of expecting to get some skill balancing going into the brand new crop update happening in mid-July. That was assumed. But no, we have a brand new balance is what I've been told. It is definitely one worth doing a video for, so we are doing just that. And so we're going to go into, first of all, the ban list first of all, because I assume it's mainly going to be speed stuff, with maybe some rush stuff in there as well. We'll see. Let's go. First of all, Shen Spy going to be forbidden. Okay, so this was a no FTK, you know, Utopia right last ban list, we got one hit as well. Then a day later, bing bang bong, you've got a brand new FTK. And so this is finally gone. It is annoying because this was a farm card, right? And it was a very good farm card, and obviously now being banned, you can't play in events, and so that is a big loss for a part of the Duel Links gameplay experience that honestly has kind of been drowned out in the last couple of years. So is the big loss? No, but this was a very iconic card in Duel Links history for being unique and being playable in Duel Links in some ways, but of course FTKs had to go and ruin it. But it's good, and FTK's gone, just 50-50, right? Then limit 1 is going to be the new Utopia, which I don't think they're playing, but getting a new skill as well, and so I don't think that one's as good, but this is like their pseudo fix for it, I guess. We can go and take a quick look at the skill and just see, like, just get the full context, right? So we are going to be adding the Utopia to the deck. Okay, so this being limit 1 means you are now locked out of Rota, right? But at the moment, it doesn't really do anything to hit the big problem on ladder, right? Being Kaijus. Lava Golem is so prevalent, maybe not in tournaments, but on ladder, the thing that actually matters, it is so prevalent. And so, is that going to be enough, right? Okay, no, change tactics, okay, sure, making that FTK again kind of go bye-bye. This was hit on the last design, going from limited 3, now of course going to 1. So this is a major correction. Of course I don't want to go into the worlds and have an FTK be legal, that'd be kind of bad. So this does make sense, again, hitting it, ensuring you do have to play this kind of extra deck, and that does mean you've now got a brick in the deck because you weren't playing this before, now you have to, and so that is one potential generic rank 4 you've now not got, which is, I think that might be fair enough, but I feel like the main problem is Lava Golems, etc., and if they're not on this ban list, then that skill change is not good enough. Then number 2, okay, we've got Recurrence going back to 2. This is a buff, it seems, to Salamangreat. Is it warranted? Probably. They've done, you know, that first balance hit them, they kind of just went off the face of the planet, and so slowly bringing them back is fine, I guess. Can't give too many comments on that one, and that's all for limit 2. But the bar is quite big, so expecting big limit 3s, big unbans. Let's see. Limit 3, the new Cork Shooter. Okay, so this turns off limit 3s, meaning Book of Eclipse. That is basically what the limit 3 section is for right now, is for Eclipse. And so you've now got 1 Cork Shooter and 2 Eclipse. The problem is, says it will prevent Spiral decks from access to limit 3s, but it doesn't, right? It doesn't, it just means you lose one of them. So it doesn't really do what they probably wanted to do, and I think also hits Gusto as well because they were using this as well, and so in the same way, they lose out on 1 Eclipse. If that's all the changes, maybe there's going to be some more cards coming out that, you know, that can work with this, and that this will be a future kind of proofing thing, but at the moment, doesn't really seem all that impactful, I guess. Then, oh, okay, so Lurlusks were a really dominant deck back in, what, September last year, October, November, right, that period, and wasn't overly fun to face. I don't know all the limits they've got, and so if we bring them back, then to me, that kind of feels like they want them back for Worlds to kind of be like, oh, here's what happened last year of Duel Links, and these were a big part of it. They didn't really get a chance on the world stage, so that might be it. If there's more unhits, I guess, we'll have to see. Okay, there's the Turquoise Warbler. Okay, we really bring this deck back. It depends again where everything lands. Of course, now have Tribe Gate as well in the game, and so maybe that kind of makes up for things and makes the builds a bit more interesting. We'll have to see. Then we've got Flamvell Counter. This is one that I believe was limit 1, right? And so is pretty big for Balance Boxes, which again kind of fits in with that whole the decks of the last year of Duel Links. Sure, this one is fine, right? I think that, you know, overall, this hit I can see where they're coming from, but it doesn't really do all that much. These two, a bit worried, we got to see what happens. This one is a good change, right? Just a straight up good change, that's fine. Unlims. Belgrand, unlimited. Very cool. Bundle cards should not be limited. They're already hard limited at 1 copy or 2 copies, depending on how many cards you give, and so they can balance them that way. This is perfectly fine. This, on the other hand, this might be the exception. And so maybe you could have put this one in the card trade or something to keep this one kind of thing, but the Herald is it's a macrocosmos. This is not fun game design. It's not fun card design as well. So like, because now you give it to what, Fleur can play this and a ton of other decks as well. Okay, that's like one of the first real baffling changes on the ban list. Vortex Dragon has kind of done nothing, but again, it is a negate. These are all negates, and so this is fine. Patchwork Unlim, perfectly fine. Should have kind of been this one on release, but that's okay. Crackdown as well, so I believe on the last list or one before. Another Limit 3 trap going to Unlimited. Just kind of again proving that Limit 3 holding ground is for Eclipse and not for those trap cards. The game is kind of moving far beyond that, and so Duel Links, man, is getting, you know, it is becoming even more Master Duel Light as the days kind of progress, and this is just kind of proving that. What is next? We get Imperm Unlimited, and that be like the good trap card of the format. Beryl Canary as well. So we are going and we are unhitting basically everything. So I'm going to do a real quick check over on Duel Links Mana real quick and just see what is on Lyrilusk, right? Because I imagine that there's going to be, okay, Liquid Soldier, right? That is, do we really want a buff hero, right? It is, you know, it's not as good as it was before, right? But it's still a prevalent deck on ladder, right? Heroes, Utopia, they're so free-to-play accessible and new play friendly, I guess, in a way. Does it need to be back as well? Tuning Gum was also hit as well. This does feel like they're just bringing back stuff from the last year of Duel Links, right? RDA, Heroes, Lyrilusks, and they want them to be potentially usable at Worlds. That is kind of the vibe I'm getting, is this balance to just kind of temporarily bring these cards back, even if they maybe aren't the most fun cards to play against. That is kind of what I'm feeling. On Lyrilusks, right, we've got Limited 1, the Nightingale, Limit 3, the Turquoise, and the Cobalt, and that's it. So they lose out on Limit 3 back row, fine. They can't do Super Poly stuff, okay, that's fine as well. This is a straight buff for the deck. Will it make them see a big comeback? We'll have to wait and see. Then with Rush Duel, surprising, we've got some changes. Okay, Limit 2, Phoenix Dragon. This was Limit 3 alongside Dragius. Okay, that is a good, solid change for that deck. We've then got Gaia the Conqueror of Champions and Void Corridor. Okay, so Corridor is big because we have Dark Galaxy having the Limit 3 one that attacks everything, right? That one is Limit 3. You can now play 3 of this and 2 of this and actually not be screwed over. So it feels like an overcorrection given that Light Galaxy, seemingly by this, is still going to be really, really good. There's no change card-wise to that deck, maybe skill-wise there is, but that's a really solid change. Gaia, though, is interesting because this was Limit 1, right? And so now it's Limit 2. Is there anything that clashes with that? No. What it does mean is Gaia now have access to Compulsory or Pot of Greed. One of those two is now in the deck, which is big. It could also mean we may potentially, in a Super Mini in July, before Worlds, get more support for Gaia. And I wouldn't be opposed to that, because the skill is why the deck was a problem. Now, it could also mean they're going to give us more copies of this at some point, right? You know, give us 2 copies, and then God, Limit, okay, Unlimited. Okay, Magical Miracle, finally coming off the list. So basically, Limit 2 was just her, and now it is all these, so we have flip-flopped a bit, okay, and Blistopia. This was a 1. I don't think this will change much for that deck. Again, you do get access to Pot of Greed or Compulsory, that's good, but this wasn't really like the biggest reason why the deck wasn't that great, so overall, rush-wise, I think changes are decent, nothing overly meta-breaking, just good changes. Speed-wise for cards is a bit more of a mixed bag. This is really, really dumb. Lyrilusks, I'm not a big fan of coming back, but maybe they're fine for the current format. This is a bit baffling. These are good changes, right? You know, removing this FTK is good. but not removing Lava Golem from the deck is a bit annoying, but, you know, again, we know from the skill balancing, that's not happening. So, that is just a bit annoying. Maybe after Worlds, right, maybe after Worlds, when someone gets Lava Golemed on the main stage and they see that happening and then they hit it because they don't want that toxicity kind of being promoted with Duel Links, maybe that's the case, we don't know. But what is else? They've got buffs for Baron skill, for the DD skill, for Crystal Beast skill, and for Tri Brigade, and just some MST skills. So nothing for a Rush Duel. So changes-wise, we've got this one going to twice per duel. That's pretty big. This is for Vector, right? This was never like the best skill. It was his best skill, but it was never like a top tier deck, and so it's just a bit more playable. You know, that's all we can kind of hope for with some of these skills that are kind of making really bad decks work in a way. DD skill is going to give you access to NIBIRU. Okay, so NIBIRU we know is in Selection Box. That's available. We're expecting a main box, I believe, right in July, I think. So maybe they skip over things like Armageddon Night to reprint Nibiru, and this is a way of them kind of telegraphing that. Sure, you also can set a spell or trap from hand or deck. So that's a really big buff as well, right? You know, being able to set a trap card the turn you've used it is really cool. But the big thing here, of course, is being able to play Nibiru, or playing IDP, I guess. Crystal Radiance is again going to probably be, yep, we are giving it Nibiru. Sure, Tri Brigade, yep, we are going to give it Nibiru. That is basically what they're saying, is in your opponent's turn, you can throw the rock down. Please, please buy our selection box, please do it. That's a very blatantly obvious, that's so obvious. Now these skills is removing the turn to normal for the MST one, no one's playing it, and Book-a-Moon is probably again the same, removing turn 2, okay. For the final pre-Worlds ban list, right, I don't think this was enough. Right, I don't think it was enough. The skill thing on the Zexal skill, like, yes, it's going to have a change, right? You are going to lose that on Rota. You can't FTK now. But aside from that, the deck doesn't really look that much different, right? You have lost some consistency again. With the Rota, you are playing one less good generic rank 4. That is a downside. But you can still play Lava Golem, and so that is going to be not very fun. Again, speed road stuff, I don't think really matters that much. It is losing one card right now, but again, we might find in the upcoming box that this does matter, right? It might be telegraphing future kind of cards being released, and then it matters. But we just got speed road support, I thought, right? Didn't we? I think that's why they're good now. So, yeah, I'm not too sure what to make overall the ban list, and then this just doesn't make any sense. Right, that it's an unfounded card. Why would you do that? Okay, that is the Duel Links ban list. Of course, we have the app update coming on July 17th, around then, which means skill leaks for Marek, and of course, any potential rush stuff or other speed stuff for the box, that'll be hinted at in that co-op update. Hopefully some new features as well, that'd be cool, or maybe some hints as to September's major content update, if we're getting one this year, because again, we don't know, there's no more anime, we don't know what's happening, so we'll have to wait and see. Should be a fun 7 days to kind of wait for this to come into effect, right?